evening, night owls. How is everybody doing tonight? It has been a minute, so just wanted to let you know. Wow, I'm batting 1,000 tonight. Sorry, Isabel. So, I hope you all had a good past couple of days. I spent the weekend going to our local anime convention, and I had fun. I don't know if I would say a lot of fun or a little fun, but fun was had, and I enjoyed it, I guess. Not like a whole lot, but it was enjoyable. Anyway, what else has happened? So, other than the convention that I went to, nothing much really. I did compete in the masquerade at the convention, and I ended up participation trophy, basically. So, what was really funny was that I decided to cosplay as Mew Lettuce for the masquerade as the Cafe Mew Mew uniform version. And then when I was in the waiting room for the masquerade, there was a young woman who was in the masquerade with me who was dressed as Mew Lettuce from the Tokyo Mew Mew New version, and we bonded a little bit, and she actually ended up winning an award for her cosplay, so I was very happy for her. She made it work very well, it looked lovely. Alright, so let us continue. Alexandria, 48 BC. The supposed cause of destruction of the Library of Alexandria, a perfect black marble statue, has been recently rediscovered and is currently waiting in the museum of our town for its premiere. Oh geez, exposed ribs! Eesh. Alright, so what else is happening? Well, we are picking up where we left off. I've already taken a bath. The TV host is gutting a big octopus, at least that's what she claims, because there are way too many tentacles. Okay, so it looks like all we have to do now is we have to go to our mysteries and see what's happening. The Far Out Fable of a Fear Festival. Let's see that. By the way, I want to show y'all what I bought this weekend. Or actually, my husband bought this for me. There was a vendor at the convention called Mint and Apple, and they were selling clothing such as this lovely embroidered cardigan. It is very warm, it's very nice and very colorful, and it's just my aesthetic, so I decided to get it. Alright, so we are going back to the Fear Festival. What's the worst thing that could happen? Everything. An old man stops you and invites you into his house. You follow reluctantly, only to be amazed by the number of dusty old sorcery books inside. I can teach you a thing or two about magic, he says. Don't worry about payment. I'm sure we'll work it out in the future. You know what? Let's take him up on his offer. Also, by the way, this is Marina! She was being sold by one of the people at the yard sale, and I decided to pick her up. Among the nonsense stories the man told you, you've caught one thing that could be the truth, and you've gotten yourself a new spell. Third Eye. What does that do? Plus knowledge and perception until the end of the mystery, effect doesn't stack, costs 3 reason. The trail to an abandoned Shinto shrine is overgrown and steep. However, it could be an important place to investigate. The quick route or the safe route? Because you're in a hurry, you hike to the hilltop. Burnt-out candle wax and dried blood around the shrine mean a new, sinister cult has claimed the location. Unseasonal floods have closed many of the roads. You've wasted a lot of time looking for a safe path. A weird sound wakes you up. You step closer to the window and look out. You can't see anything and get ready to go back to bed when suddenly, the moon comes from behind the thick clouds. 3 hooded figures are standing at the forest's edge. One by one they light their torches and disappear behind the trees. What was that about? As you walk through the village, crops waver in the breeze, following your every movement. In an otherwise bleak village, the look of the most beautiful flower patch surprises you. As you get closer to compliment the gardener, you stop, hearing weird sniffling sounds. The sniffling gardener. Okay, I don't really have very much that I can do, so I am getting the heck out of here. Going back to the inn, you overhear 2 masked villagers. They are talking about something awakening up at the next dawn. You wonder what's up with that. You stand in the middle of the field, frozen in terror. A rip in our reality shows the horrible future of our planet. Seeing the familiar figure looking back at you, you can't help but wonder if it's our world that's just an illusion. Let's go in! You and the figure get closer to the portal, ready to swap places. Lost in time and space, you drift in nothingness until something pulls you towards the light. A parasitic star is looming over the dying civilization. Is this the fate of our planet as well? Enter the destroyed temple, venture further into the desert, or dig through the sand. Let's go in the temple. Inside a decaying nave, you find a keepsake from the ancient world. There's a humanoid skeleton wearing ruined armor. Its weapon looks strangely familiar. Oh, snap! Its blade was folded over 1,000,000 times. Weird sounds from the forest kept you up at night. What could it all mean? Okay. You can't boop this dog. So I got myself a holy candle. Why is it so quiet all of a sudden? Is that blood? Where is everybody? Trail of blood and sickly smelling sludge leads to an outskirt of the village. Somewhere in the dark forest, there's an answer waiting for you. Drooping tree branches hang over the path, framing it in an almost macabre way. It's almost inspiring. Walking through the forest, you spot a pair of legs sticking out of a bush. Before you can do anything, however, they twitch and move. A bark woman. The suspicious group you've been following is gathered in a nearby forest. They're enacting some sort of a ritual in a clearing up ahead. The only nearby vantage point is a large rock. Ouch. You have a feeling that you're being watched, and when you hear a branch snapping, you quickly turn around. There is someone standing in the trees just a few meters away. The decomposing skin and vacant stare can only mean one thing. It's a corpse someone has propped up. The idea that someone could do it so close to you and so quietly makes you shudder. The sun is slowly rising as you get closer to the abandoned industrial building. Cautiously entering the factory, you can't help but notice the forest got totally silent. Too late! You were not the only one trying to stop the ritual and save your friends. Special forces have raided the occult hideout, arresting the suspects. Led outside, the handcuffed cult leader suddenly stops. You are too late, they say in a raspy voice. Our Lord is free once more. And we got ending B. Later that day, after an investigation, detectives let you go free. Festival guests are still missing to this day. You board the old bus, wondering what exactly happened out there. Alright, so the old god stirs, and we've also got a level up. So I am going to take hot bath, and I am going to get a +4 to stamina. The air feels heavy, making it hard to breathe. Your rest action is less effective. And we've got ourselves another key. I'm gonna take a hot bath, regain some stamina. And let's see what's happening. We are so shocked after what she did. Her voice was always so calm. Okay, we have the horrible history of household hell, the vicious verses of a violent vigil. I have a spider descending in front of my eyes. Please excuse me for one moment. Sorry about that, folks. Had to take care of a spider. Okay, so we are going back to investigating the mystery. We've got the bloody brief of a beckoning bulletin, horrible history of household hell, and vicious verses of a violent vigil. Let's do this one. You've received an official-looking letter. What does a law firm from Tokyo want from you? Oh, it's this one. What's the worst that can happen? Of course. The notes lying on the table look like the ramblings of a madman. While trying to understand them, you read a passage aloud. Nothing happens, but you suddenly feel watched. You leave the reading room quickly. It takes you some time, but finally you manage to find someone. Is that another guest? You should ask them what's going on in here. Akane, young heiress. Young woman wrinkles her nose when she notices you. You can swear you've seen the symbol engraved on her necklace before. If you want to pay respects to that old creep, follow the corridor to the right. Had some milk tea. The round window of the Crooked Manor Tower is calling you. You feel your strength drain away as you stare at the bright light. Let's fight this feeling. Just one glimpse of the eldritch landscape is enough. You manage to cover your eyes and move to where you can't see the damned window. You feel sick, but at least you're safe. For now. Pressing a handkerchief to your nose, you enter the dark room. There's no way they allowed your grand uncle to just fly here. What was the correct bow and clap order? Maybe other guests will know? As you return to the corridor, you notice another family member has arrived. You notice all guests are studying small cards. You should ask them about it. Sotomura, scarred thug. A muscular man is eyeing you as you take a step towards him. You can't help but notice a deep scar going across his cheek. You didn't get this with a letter? Here, take mine. Okay, so the start of the vigil. 10 p.m., pray over the body, clap, 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 clap. Okay, so clap, 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 clap. You think you got the order right. And now we have to light up the fireplace. And then pray over the body again. There is a weird symbol tattooed on his toe. You copy it onto your pamphlet. That's what it looks like. Following a suspicious person, you enter a old, run-down mansion room. It stinks like spoiled milk and has only 2 doors, one of which you came through. You can't see the strange man anywhere. There's nothing really important here, but you do think you might be able to use the one item you do find. Okay, so it's 11 p.m., so we have to light up the fireplace. You couldn't find any firewood to add to the fireplace. Corpses are strung up on wire like macabre marionettes with painted smiles and rosy cheeks. It's midnight. You should go and pray. So clap, bow, bow, bow. The body, it's missing. It seems that someone has already removed all the furniture from this room. The overgrown plant is casting an unsettling shadow. Where is everybody? Walking through the forest. Oh, it's one of those things again. A man-eating plant. You manage to find one of the guests. They're shaken but otherwise safe. You both decide to get the hell out of this place, but the door's gone. You enter the art workshop. The room is cluttered with half-finished sculptures and bizarre masks hanging on the wall. One sculpture strikes you as eerily realistic. The head of one sculpture looks so lifelike, you move closer and raise your hand nervously to touch it. It falls off. A headless person stumbles out of the sculpting classroom and it's reaching for your head! You stumble upon Sotomura, furiously scratching his scar. With each motion, he gets a little deeper. With each motion, more blood appears. With each motion, he takes a step towards you. The itching won't stop. As the vigil is nearing its end, the whole mansion shakes more and more until the walls start to collapse, revealing the shocking truth about your whereabouts. Walls of the corridor collapse, revealing an alien landscape. You can taste blood in your mouth as the slimy appendages slowly get closer. A voice in your head tells you what to do. Sacrifice the guest. An unseen force leads your hands. You reach for a knife and stab a surprised guest. The price is paid. A voice booms in your head as everything gets dark. When you wake up, you find yourself lying on the wet grass, the old mansion nowhere to be seen. Standing next to you is a naked, bloated old man. You recognize a tattoo on the man's toe. It's your deceased granduncle. With a coarse voice, he explains the ritual. You try to keep up with him, but you're weak and your head spins. The death toll must remain the same. 2 die and 2 survive. You feel like vomiting as the old man who has cheated death disappears behind trees. Everything gets dark. The man you thought was your uncle has cheated death, making you an accessory to murders. You know police officers won't believe you when you tell them the truth, and do your best to forget the nightmares you left behind. The old god stirs. The whole town stopped receiving any outside signal. It must be the radio mast failure. You can't get any signal from the outside world. What is happening? Let's see, we've got horrible history of household hell and bloody brief of a beckoning bulletin. Let's do that one. This is the one with the internet bulletin board with the suicides. Okay, so we've got the forest note. Now we've got to go to the school library. Through the dirty restaurant window, you notice a shady-looking man wearing a jacket covered in strange symbols. He stops in front of a house, visibly nervous. Before he enters the house, he turns around as if he's checking for any unwanted followers. What could it mean? Let's follow him. The door is locked, but you repeat the knocking's pattern the suspicious man used. A moment later, the door opens, and a surprised teen with greasy hair asks you who the hell you are. Mistaking these nerds for cultists sure is embarrassing, but deep inside, you're relieved. When you stop by home to pick up your lunch, you find a pile of letters in your mailbox. Staying up late investigating the current case has really increased your electrical bill. Hoping to find a lead, you head to the hospital. With how many deaths there have been, the hospital is in chaos. The staff looks exhausted. When the receptionist lets her head down onto the desk for a minute, you slip out of the waiting room and into the hospital corridors. Despite your best efforts, you feel like the neighborhood is starting to change. You overhear two nurses talking about a girl whose suicide attempt failed. Oh crap. Error in action number 1 of alarm event for alarm 0 for object 0 investigating instant blah blah blah. Crap, we had a crash. I'm sorry, folks. And it looks like I didn't save, so we would be going back to Ico. And the one case solved, so unfortunately, I mean, we could try again, but I mean, we're never going to be able to get that super awesome weapon again, so I'm not really sure what I should do here. Let's just hit continue anyway. Jeez. We are getting the heck out of here. Well, that really sucks that we lost all of that progress. Alright, we're doing another quick play, and let's see what happens. Alright, we have the idle character. Mega Merc! And I have one ally, Asato, a witch. Okay, so why don't we try the tranquilizing TV of the Tale of the Twilight TV Terror? If you're ever up late these days, unable to sleep and flipping through the TV, you might be unfortunate enough to find the 444 channel. The pale people stand on an empty set, staring into the camera with lopsided smiles, hissing in a language you don't understand. You sit in your bed, staring at the flickering blue TV screen. You've missed the damn channel again. As you prepare a bath, you think about all the possible leads so far. You're very tired, so maybe ice-cold water is a good idea. Your body clearly wasn't prepared for a cold bath, and you can feel a cold coming on. The local broadcast station seems like a logical place to start your investigation. You decide to head there early in the morning. Let's go to shop. Ooh, a steak knife. The sharpened edge can slice through the toughest cuts of meat. You can only hope that the red stains are from steak. The tired station director sweats and keeps glancing to the side when asked about the weird channel. He peremptorily denies its existence before pushing you out of his office. Just before the door closes, you spot another person standing behind the director. Was he in his office the whole time you were there? Despite your best efforts, you feel like the neighborhood is starting to change. Passing by a TV display, it randomly switches channels. You freeze, seeing the pale presenter's face glaring at you. He points at the dark shapes hanging just behind the stage. Are those body bags? The roads seem to twist and turn when you're not looking, trapping you in this neighborhood. You spend hours trying to find a way out. Finally, completely exhausted, you end up on the main street as the passage to the blighted neighborhood slowly closes behind you. Staying up all night is almost impossible, and you struggle to keep your eyes open. When the channel comes up, you manage to switch on the DVR just before falling asleep. Finally, you've got real proof of the channel's existence. Loud knocking wakes you up in the middle of the night. "Open up!" shouts the deep voice from behind the door. "I know you're there!" The before you can answer, the door's letterbox suddenly opens and an unknown invader tries to look inside. You lurch back in shock. The man sees you and tries to get in, screaming curses the whole time. A neighbor calls the police and the attacker escapes from your apartment building. When you wake up the next morning, the footage is a scrambled mess. But you can swear there are faces hiding behind the static. Feeling desperate, you start combing through the message board, hoping to find some clues. It's past midnight and you're barely keeping your eyes open. Maybe it's a good time to call it a night. Before you finally collapse, you learn an interesting information about the production of the cursed show. -2 stamina, something changed. You think you've finally found a clue. A forum post about a newly built warehouse in a nearby village. Could it be the place where they broadcast the TV show from? You'll take the last bus and find a studio yourself. Unseasonal floods have closed many of the roads. You've wasted a lot of time looking for a safe path. You spend the rest of this evening in the village's restaurant. When it closes and the sun goes down, you creep into the huge studio warehouse. You walk through the dimly lit studio, creeping past the props and various equipment, getting closer to the lights in the very center, closer to the hissing noises and canned laughter. You stand just out of sight, holding your breath. The cast stand on a desolate stage, drawing pentagrams on each other. You think one of them catches your eye, you gasp. What happens next is a bazaar. The entire cast spots you, but instead of attacking, they run directly into the camera, disappearing into its lens, like into a portal. You rummage around the set for a while, trying to figure out how they escaped into the camera and any clues to the show's meaning. Ultimately, you find nothing. However, when you get home, you're uneasy about turning on the TV. The old god stirs. The imposing shadow casted by the old lighthouse is getting longer each day. The sorrowful saga of the Moonlight Sailors. It began with one fisherman who dragged something truly awful from the belly of the ocean. A dark, writhing ooze that mesmerized him beyond control. He hid himself away for a week adoring it, not to be seen until one moonlit night, when a young girl spotted his boat drifting away, a single lantern swinging at the helm, and the captivated fisherman singing eerily to his catch. Now more and more fishermen have begun to find the vile oozes in their nets, and one by one they are disappearing. Soon, the ocean will have taken them all. Although you brave the stench for hours, you glean nothing besides the fact that the fisherman had a wife. Perhaps you should pay her a visit? Putting your hand into that hole was a bad idea. Seeing the big spider escape, you hope it wasn't poisonous. When you arrive at the fisherman's house, it stands long vacated. Peering in through the dusty window, you recoil in shock. In a mirror, you catch a glimpse of something that shouldn't be there. The fisherman's wife lies in the kitchen, mutilated and covered with black marks. You feel watched. Surely someone else must have caught one of these. You lurk around, hoping to spot one of them. Mr. Yokoyama, your new manager, corners you. The previous one mysteriously disappeared a few months ago. My dearest Mizuki, long time no see. His breath stinks like rotten meat. Our parent company in Tokyo desperately needs new material, something thrilling and exciting, he smiles. New blood. Shocking tattoo or lengthy photo shoot. Yes, I could arrange that. Mr. Yokoyama smiles. I'm sure the boss will find that satisfactory. And +5 to do. The young man has glassy eyes and mumbles his replies between caressing his catch. The beating movements in his arms disturb you. Okay, I don't have any funds on me right now, unfortunately. And I can't boop him. You can't shake the feeling that those small dock buildings hide some terrible secrets. After a slow interrogation, the young man manages to stutter out something about an organized fishing trip. The town's docks are a mix of modern warehouses, small shops, and bars where the alternative crowd gathers. An ancient wooden temple occupies a small hill at the town's center. Let's recruit some allies, shall we? It didn't take long to find someone willing to join you at the bar. You explain everything you know so far over a few drinks. So we have Ryoko, a park ranger, +1 to a weapon's damage. Ryoko looks at you, waiting. You slip out at night and race towards the beach, terrified of what comes next. The full moon shines bright in the cloudless night sky. The ink-black ocean waves glimmer eerily. All the residents have drawn their shutters tight and locked their doors. Your footsteps are silent in the sand. The only sounds are your ragged breathing and pounding heartbeat. You arrive at the water's edge breathless. The possessed fishermen's boats fill the horizon with their light. Tiny yellow spots navigating across a dark ocean under a dark sky. You cannot make out the figures on board. The whole section of the beach is black with ooze, slowly engulfing the bodies of the missing sailors. Right in the middle of it stands a lone figure. When he spots you, the ooze stops undulating for a second before rapidly moving towards you, leaving the half-eaten corpses behind. Prepare for combat! Whatever the sailors caught in the sea is here. Tonight is your only chance to stop it. It was definitely a close call. Too close for your liking. You are sure the newspapers will report on the goo now dried up and looking just like volcanic ash tomorrow. Tonight, however, all you're thinking about is a hot bath. Sorrowful saga of this moonlight sailor's ending sea. The old god stirs. And I also have enough experience to level up, so let's do that. Self-therapy. Forgetting spells regains extra regen. Parting gifts. Letting allies go grants a permanent bonus to one of your stats. Fame. Faster combat actions for each ally you have. So let's do Fame. And let's do +1 to Strength. Fetid Fumes. Okay, so we've got the Chilling Chronicle of a Crimson Cape, the Rotten Report of a Rancid Ramen, and Vicious Verses of a Violent Vigil. Let's do the Crimson Cape one. So it's the Akamanto Mystery. So now we got a bunch of schoolmates with us. Whoa. As soon as you pick up the package, you realize what you were holding. Drop it in horror. You read a story about a vengeful samurai known for wearing a crimson-red cape. It's an interesting find for sure, but you need to find more information. You hear a faint sound while walking outside the biology classroom. Inside is an old anatomy model, its heart beating. The sight almost makes you sick. You enter the hospital looking for information about a certain patient. The main corridor is dark and strangely empty. You spot a nurse at the registration booth. She's asleep from exhaustion. Nope, I can't afford that. The pool is empty at this hour. It's dark, but you could swear something suddenly moved under the surface of the water. Ah, somebody left their wallet. Okay. Well, let's go back to the hospital and get ourselves treated. You've discovered small cocoon. You found a new item, rock ring. She said she would do everything to be with you, even if it meant to cheat death itself. Ooh, it's a stalker girl. Wait, what's that? An occult diary. is no turning back now. You step into the last stall and close the door behind you. You wait in the stall, trying to be as quiet as possible. Suddenly, squish, squeak. The sound of rubber boots and an unknown liquid dripping on the tiles. Squish, squeak. You can see the top of his head. He's taller than any man you've ever seen. Squish, squeak. The door slowly opens. A masked man dressed in a red coat, clearly too tall for the ceiling, emerges from outside. Tell me, his voice sounds like a faulty radio. Would you like red paper or blue paper? You know what? YOLO. Tall man in a red coat grabs you by your neck and starts choking. You kick him and rush to the door. You hear a click coming from the door's direction. You're locked here with this crazy man. Student D has tried to distract Akamanto, but died. Ah! You will die at the beginning of your next encounter. You've defeated Akamanto. Blood flowing from wounds and tall man's red coat makes it look more like the man was slowly melting. You hear cackling coming from behind the mask and faint. And when you wake up, he's gone. Somehow, you will know he will be back in another stall, another school, another city, continuing the horror. The old god stirs. Alright, I'm at 0 stamina. So, what can I do? Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do anything at this point, so let's say goodnight. Oh, she's got the mask on. Alright, we'll try this again. missing stars. Media reports on various people with seemingly supernatural skills. Could it have any connection with the news about stars disappearing from the night sky? Alright. It's the idol again. I have another ally, Kazumi. Cheaper treatment and surgery actions. Give myself a little EXP boost. And let's see what we've got for mysteries this time around. Freaky feature of found footage, curious case of a contagious coma, vicious verses of a violent vigil, alarming account of abnormal arms, bizarre brute of the blood-curdling botanist. Do that one. Shiro-san has gone missing. Alright, we've got... Ooh, what the heck happened? Mr. Yokoyama, your new manager, corners you. The previous one mysteriously disappeared a few months ago. So we can recommend one of our allies. So Mr. Yokoyama eyes the person you introduced them to up and down. Yeah, I think we can work with that. You avoid your friend's gaze when they get into a car with your manager. Sure, you'll never see them again. Oh, that is creepy. Creepy. While the dispatch order is stained with a foul-smelling liquid, you think you can make out the address, at least parts of it. The house is somewhere in the nearby forest. It's a bad time to be out of cash, says the grim-looking man who's standing in your way. Our company, fortunately, specializes in cases like yours and will gladly help you get back on track after all. He takes a step closer and you can swear there is a faint smell of rust around the man. Everyone has something to sell. How about a jar of blood? You startle awake on a park bench. Did you faint? There's no sign of the grim man anywhere, but you find an envelope full of cash inside your pocket. It's dark. You don't remember the trees growing so close to each other. Your friend has asked you to meet them at a certain secluded location. Getting there, you find a telescope with a note signed by your friend. The note tells you to look through the telescope. You don't see anything at first. Then you notice it. The bloated body of Ath-Yolazith is getting closer. A suspicious group you've been following is gathered in a nearby forest. They're enacting some sort of ritual. You manage to see some of the faces and hear the names of the group. Following a trail of rotten fruit, you stumble upon a small forest shrine that's probably dedicated to some local spirit. The small statue looks alien and menacing. Kneeling by the shrine, you discover a small piece of paper tucked behind the statue. You discover an old campsite located on the edge of a small clearing. The tent has been knocked down and the food and utensils have been scattered everywhere. The sleeping bag has been torn to shreds. You find a wallet nearby. There's no ID card inside, but you're sure the absence of cash is the least of the missing owner's problems. Finally, after what felt like hours of following the dirt road, you find the old mansion. It's completely overgrown with plants you've never seen before. In front of the mansion, there's the gardening company minivan filled with boxes. Slowly, you enter the building with caution. You stand in the middle of the room when suddenly the floor gives up and you fall down to the basement. Falling through the hole in the floor, you find yourself in an overgrown basement. In the corner lies a man you recognize. It's Shiro-san, the missing gardener. You must help him escape this cursed place. The top of Shiro-san's head flies off, revealing his brain. Out of it, the fruiting body of a fungus. Okay, this only works on Eldritch enemies. Oh geez, I am not doing very well. That encounter was the final straw. Your mind has snapped and you've been locked up in an asylum. It would be comforting to accept that you were insane, that no old god is awakening to devour humanity. But the drugs haven't made these horrors disappear. One last thing, a tall man left a suitcase for you this morning. He said you will know the password. I wonder what could that mean? Okay, so we've got custom character and background, medical history, and just World of Horror. Kirie Minami. Knowledge and strength starts with one random spell. Dexterity and knowledge. I'm gonna do the Yakuza driver. Classic mode, Old Gods Are Awakening, your only chance of survival is solving 5 different mysteries. Endless mode, it's hopeless, you can't stop the old gods. Scenario mode, short adventures set during the events of Classic mode, coming soon. Somewhere, a group of people gathers trying to awaken their master. Okay, and we're going to do Goizo, the thing forsaken by God. Banished to the other dimension long time ago, Goizo has found a way to use mirrors to ensnare and teleport its prey straight through the glass. Glimpses of horror lurking behind your reflection are just the beginning. Alright, let's see what's going to happen with our Yakuza friend. We'll do the spine-chilling story of school scissors. Whoa. Karukosa Mask. Faster spiritual actions. Weird design with many strings. Whoa. Old newspapers. With the trail growing cold, it might be time for a different approach. Could a similar case have occurred in the past? A trip to the library might be a good idea. It was a complete waste of time. You've spent the whole day reading about cute dogs, giant vegetables, and the occasional accident. You find nothing related to the case at hand. You found an additional page from your friend's diary. It seems that the blessed chalk was left on the roof. You must hurry and find it. On the roof, you find the girl your friend was talking about. In one hand, she holds a bag. In the other, a pair of bloody scissors. I've defeated Maru. You found the blessed chalk, which you can use to draw the sigil in your ritual. You copy the sigil as best you can on the blackboard. Hopefully it'll be enough. Okay, it looks... Okay, so I need to find the candles. Eesh. Wait, what's that? You take a step back as a writhing amorphous mass slowly takes shape. A pillar of heads is nearly reaching the high ceiling. Each face has the same expression of pure hatred, each mouth screaming the same question. Am I beautiful? Am I beautiful? Am I beautiful? Okay, so clap, clap. You take a step back, praying that the banishment ritual was effective. The first move was correct. The second move was correct. The third move was correct. The fourth move was wrong. The fifth move was wrong. The eldritch horror is slowly moving towards you, seemingly unaffected by the ritual. When you are sure this is finally the end, you wake up in an ambulance. The paramedic calmly explains that they found you collapsed in one of the classrooms. He shrugs when you ask him about the scissor woman and her friend. Probably just a heat stroke-induced hallucination, he says, injecting your arm with a needle. The last thing you see before losing consciousness for the second time is the face of the paramedic. 2 old scars visible on both his cheeks. Preparing for the worst, people are stocking up on everything, making it harder for you to find what you want. Freaky feature of found footage. 3 students disappeared in the process of making a documentary about local folklore and legends of the nearby forest. I found out that if you have the can of acid, you'll be able to defeat one of the enemies. Getting access to the student database would certainly speed up your investigation, but the receptionist would never allow it, if only there was a way to make her go away for a while. The round window of the Crooked Manor Tower is calling you. You feel your strength drain away as you stare at the bright light. You don't have the strength to move a finger. The blinding light is growing larger and larger. To your shock, you can't feel the ground under your feet. Lost in time and space, you drift to nothingness until something pulls you towards the light. The temperature abruptly drops, and you shudder in the icy cold. You find yourself in the middle of a snowy wasteland. A sudden gust flings you to your knees. You inhale deeply, feeling your chest tighten and ache. Your fingers and ears are already numb and freezing. You have to move. The frozen guard corpses standing on eternal guard duty find you worthy. The usurper king kindly decides to share his forbidden knowledge with you. And now I've got the experience to level up. Outdoorsman, +1 to luck. Leadership, +1 to charisma. And Irezumi, items in the shops are cheaper by 1. So I will take that, considering I'm a Yakuza anyway. And I will do a +4 to reason. The legends say the witch was buried alive for kidnapping and murdering 2 children and points you in a specific direction, potentially saving you some time. Ah, we got an empty bottle. Okay. The world may be falling apart, but you really needed that nap. Everyone in the village is unsettlingly friendly. An old farmer points you to an old stone. The missing group supposedly started their forest trip there. You've stumbled upon a forgotten bookstore in a small alley. The interior is cluttered with dusty old tomes, animal bones, weird vials, and stuffed exotic animals you don't even recognize. "Can I help you?" says the tiny man behind the counter. "I have things that will surely help you in your quest." "Sorry, just looking." "Take your time and see you soon." Looking back one last time, you continue deeper into the woods. The rumored witch house seems empty. In the basement, however, you find a camera pointed at a large hole in the ground. On the table next to the camera, you see 3 cassettes, each titled after one of the missing friends. Then, you hear a curious sound coming from the hole. You kneel down and lean forward to see what's inside the hole. It takes a while to process what you are looking at. It's a gigantic eye staring right at you. Hypnotized, you continue to lean in, feeling weaker and weaker as the gargantuan beast lures you in. There's mud in your eye. You open the can of acid and empty its contents in the well. The house's foundation shakes as the massive creature's eyes burns. Walls begin to collapse as you pass out from the toxic fumes. You wake up later with the cassettes in your trembling hand. The witch's house is nowhere to be seen. Who could help me with that? The old god stirs. Winds of plague. Okay, so, let's see. We've got the alarming account of abnormal arms. I remember when it started, the woman next door was strangled to death in her bed, with no sign of forced entry. The killer was never found and the apartment remained vacant. Pleasantly surprised to meet your old friend while waiting for a train. She's undoubtedly changed a lot since you've last seen her. These days, she's moderating a web forum dedicated to the paranormal. Maybe she knows something useful. In between conspiracy theories and Bigfoot sightings, you hear a worrying rumor about an old god slowly awakening to rule the earth once again. Could this be the reason for recent horrific events? find yourself in an old, unused part of the hospital. You take a deep breath. The disgusting smell of thawed remains still lingers in the room. It used to be the hospital's mortuary, where doctors determined the causes of death. Before you can uncover what's hiding under the cloth, you involuntarily let out a scream and run from the mortuary in terror. Anatomical Museum Archive displays a specimen with elongated arms and jellified bones. Mr. Maru, your neighbor, is a horror manga artist. He's struggling to come up with a satisfying ending for his newest story. Share your experience, let him come up with his own stuff. What's that picture? Let's see. Incredible, he shouts in excitement. How do you come up with this stuff? Something this story will be a huge hit, he pays you a token of appreciation. Another empty bottle. What's that? You've attracted the attention of something truly evil. Loud knocking wakes you up in the middle of the night. Open up! I know you're there! The man escapes when he hears the police siren, but before he goes, he draws an unfamiliar symbol in blood on your front door. Despite your best efforts, you feel like the neighborhood is starting to change. You enter the dark boiler room and trip over the pipe. Cursing, you find a light switch and gasp in horror. It's not a pipe at all. It's a long rubbery arm coiling around the room and ending in a ventilation shaft. Coming closer, you can smell something vile and rotten. You cautiously crawl inside the vent, determined to solve this macabre mystery. Nothing could prepare you for the source of the skittering sound getting louder and closer. Ah! After the police have arrived, the whole building was searched. Following the disgusting body, the detectives enter one of the flats. Inside the slimy lair, there were countless semi-transparent eggs. When broken, they revealed horrible centipedes, human fetus hybrids. You were questioned thoroughly, while the government people dressed up like gas company clean up the apartment. You are eventually released, but can swear that at night, you still hear the faint skittering sounds coming from the vents. CQC training, using firearms as melee weapons does more damage. +1 to luck. Art knowledge. You know what? I'll do art knowledge and stamina. We'll do the Akamanto mystery. Knowledge checks failure. You find a curious folder containing photos. With rising horror, you discover that you're in every one of them. The last photo shows a smiling man standing over your bed. You're stopped dead in your tracks by the feeling of cold metal against your back. You look over your shoulder. Remember me? The Yakuza's face sneers. Either punch him or go for his weapon. I'm going for his weapon! Oh man, you're too slow. Before you can even turn around, your side explodes with pain. You scream and clutch at the wound, collapsing. There's laughter in your ear as the man's footsteps fade. Charisma check success. You immediately understand that the only difference between you and the crazy person is that you haven't been caught yet. You convince them to sneak out and join you in your quest. We have met Fujiko, the Sukeban girl. Your kick action deals additional 1 damage. Fujiko sniffs. What's that smell? What you thought was just a discarded pile of clothes suddenly moves. As it stands up, a cloud of white powder is released into the air. A forgotten specimen. Wait, what's that? A lump of flesh. It's undulating slowly. Slimy and smelly, what is it? It's pulsating slowly in your hand. It also gives you +5 to stamina. Let's do it. You've gained a new status. Holes. Each day, more holes appear. The tall man in the red coat slowly takes their mask off as stall walls wither and rot and reality starts to crumble. Basking in the dying sun's morbid glow, your corpse continues to twist and warp, bringing you closer to your primordial perfect form. Soon, the herald will take you to the shattered court, where you will perform and sing mad songs until the end of time itself. Oh dear. Yeah, we've only won this once, really. More and more people fall unconscious and cannot be awakened. People trying to wake the patients up result with them falling into a coma themselves. A whole wing of the town's hospital has been dedicated for the comatose. Is there anything connecting these people, and how did this strange illness start? Let's check the news reports about this weird disease and try to find the cause before more people fall asleep. No one answers when you knock at Professor Takeuchi's door. Let's see. Our master is coming and we can all bask in its glory. An old man from the village hands you a package. This should help you understand the illness. You're stopped by a masked man wearing a lab coat. He introduces himself as a researcher from Tokyo University, testing a new treatment method that would revolutionize modern medicine. Holding out a pile of documents, he tells you he can heal your wounds for free. You just need to sign here. Later, you wake up in the abandoned surgical ward in the old part of the hospital with a nasty new wound. The doctor is nowhere to be seen. That man dabbled in magic. You found a journal describing a certain village and instructions for a summoning ritual. It seems that he tried to contact a being from the dream realms. You stumble upon a nurse trying to open a door to the intensive care unit, constantly mumbling something. When she turns around, her face makes you scream in horror. There it is. Let's hope you find an answer here. You've managed to sneak through the floor, avoiding the police, and finally reach the quarantine wing, where all coma patients were brought in. Their pulse is slowly weakening and the blood pressure dropping. You must hurry. Following the old man's advice, you throw the dust of seeing in the air. It reveals weird, elongated monsters hanging from the ceiling, one above every bed. Each creature is connected to a patient with an undulating tendril. As you try to process everything, one of the disgusting creatures raises its head and looks in your direction. The creature causing the contagious coma plaguing your town has taken notice of you. You must defend yourself or perish. Oof. Unplug life support. The monster seems to gain its strength from the sleeping patients. Unplugging life support of one of them will weaken it, but kill that patient. The creature's severed body falls on the floor and starts melting slowly. The remaining part slithers back into the now closing hole in the ceiling. You've managed to catch a glimpse of the other side. The other side makes you fall on your knees. It wasn't its body that you've managed to cut off. It was just a finger. Shaken, you sneak out from the hospital. One thing is certain, though. It's the end of this weird illness. The old god stirs. The whole town stopped receiving any outside signal. It must be the radio mast failure. Alright, we are going to do the spine-chilling story of School Scissors once more. Impossible angles and seemingly moving lines make your head spin. And I've got some experience, so let's see. You have quick thinking, folklore stories, and running shoes. I think I'm going to do quick thinking and 1 to knowledge. Hearing footsteps behind you, you realize you're not the only student here. A girl wearing a demon's mask starts giggling as she's getting closer. Wait, what's that? Another steak knife. You found an additional page from your friend's diary. It seems that the blessed chalk was left in the pool. You must hurry and find it. A bloated figure emerges from the murky water, blocking your only way out of the pool. that's the correct one. Frozen in fear, you watch as she gets closer. Her sharp scissors are slowly cutting through your cheeks as she asks you, "Am I beautiful?" This game leaves me pretty speechless with how different it can be. Yeah, it's... yeah. Thotu Flame. Ooh, combat spell. Something gigantic and invisible leaves a deep void in the sea. It's not moving, but you swear it's watching you. One house owner, however, decided to make use of the cave tunnel. It's a natural concert hall, he claims. An article covers a group of scientists from Tokyo. They were exploring and mapping weird cave formations found in the cliffs. The search of the missing team of scientists continues. The only clue so far is a code written on a cavern wall, 444 Hertz. You enter the kitchen. Even though it's abandoned and the lights are off, something is cooking in a large pot. You don't like the smell of it. It looks like someone has taken all the knives from the kitchen. The mere thought of it makes you feel very uneasy. Whoops! Ah, crap. Comparing different dimensions with the sketch, you finally find the one. There's only one problem. You will need a strong rope to enter the mansion through the high window. Countless spoons fly out of a cupboard when a ghastly figure materializes in the middle of the room. A Rumu ghost. It looks like one of the previous owners of the mansion liked to read. Dusty tomes reach the ceiling. You don't have much time, but maybe you could spare some to look through the books. Lost in time and space, you drift in nothingness until something pulls you towards the light. The temperature abruptly drops, and you shudder in the icy cold. You find yourself in the middle of a snowy wasteland. A sudden gust flings you to your knees. You inhale deeply, feeling your chest tighten and ache. Your fingers and ears are already numb and freezing. You have to move. Countless corpses of a long-gone tribe are encased in the ice. Their eyes follow your every movement. There's a local legend about a heartbroken seamstress. One stormy night, she broke into a local inn and stitched the unsuspecting guests together. Her final, gruesome artwork. But that's just a legend, right? I found you at last! You aren't sure what to expect. The sturdy door to the study opens with a creak. The dark, dusty room is empty, but something feels wrong. A faint draft, perhaps. You move the rotten carpet aside to reveal a secret passageway cut directly into the cliff rock. Following a strange song, you discover a hidden passage that leads you to an underground chamber connected to the sea. You can't find the source of the sounds, but then it hits you. The acoustics of this place makes the waves sound like the most beautiful serenade. Mesmerized, you step closer to the stone altar at the end of the room. Unholy chants coming from the caves connected with the mansion must have driven the family insane. With no connection to the outside world, they fed on what they had, themselves. However, this doesn't explain the fresh corpses and wet tracks around the altar. Alright, level up. Arcane Grasp, and more reason. Alright, it's actually getting pretty close to the end, so let me do a few things. Alright, so we are taking a break. And I am going to check to see who is twitching tonight. Let's see here. Alright, well, why don't we raid Theropard Art? He is playing Final Fantasy XIV Online. So, anyway, we are going to leave things out for the evening, and on Thursday night we will be talking to each other again, probably continue more with this, and possibly even, I don't know, maybe playing something else, I don't know. But in any case, I hope you all have a good night and a good rest of your week. I hope I got things off to a good start. That's why I like to stream on Mondays. Give you guys a good way to end Monday and start off the week. So that's it. Alright everyone, I hope you all have a good night.